Attention, passengers. This is your co-pilot speaking. Your pilot is black-minded, so you are not going blind and there is no power failure. You are merely experiencing the immense blackness of his proximity, and when you hear his voice, you and the cabin will get even darker than you are currently. We will be cruising at the speed equal to light, because the one other thing that travels equally fast is darkness. Your loved ones awaiting your arrival may not recognize you at first sight. This is normal. Simply tell them about the pilot, and they will understand. We will taxi to the runway now, so please buckle up and prepare for a high-speed departure. Thank you for choosing Jet Black Airways, where the phrase Jet Black is also a verb. We hope you keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Some and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First, let me give shouts out to Deane and Jacques for coming through on the CashApp. I also want to give a shout out to the young Israel, young Lion. Assalamu alaikum, brother. I wanted to tell you guys that the semester, for the most part, it's over. We don't have any more classes at this point. I went today to work to try to upload the grades into one system we have, one online platform. And I'll be back on Sunday to try it again, but we couldn't print them out and finish everything. But here's a kicker. I saw my students, a bunch of them, and apparently they went to the office of the head of our department, an African-American brother from New York, Muslim guy. So they went to his office and they were going in, and he was trying to, the thing is that they went to the president of the university to complain because so many of them failed. And as I told you guys, I decided that what I'm not going to do was tell them that I actually didn't assess their marks. It wasn't me. I didn't assess them. I mean, some of the marks I did assess, but I didn't assess the other marks. So to make a long story short, I decided that I'm not going to tell the students that I didn't make these assessments. So I'm letting them think that I failed them when in fact they failed themselves. But I know they needed to fail. They did earn that. That's true. They earned the failure. Wasn't something I did. They did that to themselves because they wouldn't pay attention to anything that anybody taught them. And they even went to my colleague, white Muslim brother, convert, who's from Lafayette, Louisiana. And when they went to him, they were complaining behind my back to him because he used to be their teacher at a lower level. And he said to them, listen, you guys have to understand that you did this, you're failing because of your not learning. He told you what you needed to do, which I did. So he was pretty much saying to them, since they didn't do what I taught them, they failed test one, and they were setting themselves up to fail some more. Now, when they went to the president's office, I mean the president of the university, the entire university, went to his office, they managed to convince him to give them permission to go ahead and take the exit exam for which they did not qualify because of their marks. And I said, that's fine, but I'm not marking. I'm not watching them during the exam. I found out that they actually asked my boss that I not be there, and he said, you don't get to make that decision. So now I'm going to reverse my request and ask that I be the one to supervise them. Because what they like to do is gang up on me during an exam. Every exam, gang up on me talking. This time, I'm going to say to them, listen, I don't want to be actually in there, but I will be if somebody's assigned to monitor them while by himself. There need to be two. for a class that size, for these students, there need to be two, because they are going to do whatever they can to maintain maximum confusion. That's what's going to wind up being the case. Now, I'm only telling you all this so that you all understand the one thing that did happen, and I'm not saying this to brag, but to give you guys encouragement when you face situations like this. When the students were at the head of the department's office this morning, I saw them. Not one of them spoke back when I nodded my head at them. I didn't expect them to. But when they were trying to say that I didn't teach them English when in fact I did, they were trying to say that my boss said to them, now that's not true. Stop, close your mouth. You got permission to take the exit test that you didn't qualify for. But do not sit up here and tell me that he didn't do his job. You want him punished even though he did his work. You're just upset because you didn't pass. That's what that came down to. When they take the exit exam, they're going to fail. Unless they really, really prepare. And this is part of the reason why it is that they're going to try to overwhelm whoever supervises them to increase their chances of cheating and not being discovered. They're going to bring in more than one phone, all this stuff. They said I was the best teacher, but then when they failed, they decided I was the worst. But the boss defended me, and I hope to God to be worth that defense. Now, I recorded this here, open this up to tell you guys about some double standards that need to be brought in. The dog, the dollar, the ding-a-ling, and the double standards. I've thought about it, and you know, when women say that we're like dogs, there's one regard in which they are correct. We men don't just leave for no reason. We're loyal like that, and we're simple. We're social as well. Women are aloof. You got to not really try to get their attention to get their attention. And then if you like their attention, then they withdraw it again. So, that's the issue with them. And that's why I don't appreciate the coy nature that they have. They can say they were made that way all they want. The dishonesty is not something I can appreciate because they can't tolerate it in each other and they can't tolerate it in men. But I've come to understand that because we men are as loyal as dogs and as social as dogs, I think it's now okay in the West for you to demand that you be the one to marry hypergamously if you're going to get married. See, women have demanded hypogamy from men in order to marry, but in the West, it's okay to do the reverse. No, bitch, if you're a Westernisha, you're here in the West, we're going to flip everything. Now, I still have to be in charge once we're married and living together because you can't adjust to you being in charge. Y'all have already tried that and you can't tolerate it. But when it comes down to me, this is different. When it comes down to the initial stage, no, you're going to do the pursuing and the courting, and you might even need to make more money than me. Especially if you're going to say, well, I got a hard time submitting. You're going to need to make more money. You need to have something you can lose in court in a divorce. That's what the hell it needs to be. If you men are going to marry in the West, you need to know what the divorce laws are. Make sure she makes more money than you and see what your chances are of being able to get child support or alimony from her later on. And if not, you don't do it. Because why? If you don't get to wind up like Halle Berry's ex-husband's, shuck that fit. For what? Why tie the knot? So a traditional woman in a traditional jurisdiction and environment has the right to be hypergamous in trying to marry you, but the Westernisha doesn't. There's a double standard. If a traditional woman twerks, and I'm talking not on camera, but in private for you, that's fine. If a Westernisha twerks, even in private for you, you look at her and you say, what the hell? That's all you know how to do? We need double standards like this. Not just that seem unfair between us and them, but also that seem unfair between them and traditional non-Westernishas. This is not because of hatred. This is not just to be hypocrites. This is actually for your benefit. Next, gentlemen, you're going to also need, we're going to need to go ahead and start policing each other. Edward Allen Anderson's not going to agree with this, but I'm starting to think that we need to police each other in a different way from how the blue pill men do it. The blue pill men like to ding-a-ling police on behalf of the matriarchy, the gynocracy. I believe that we black men need to start ding-a-ling policing each other and even pocket policing each other. So penile policing and pocket policing for the purposes of going against the matriarchy and the gynocracy. You see, they penile police by saying that you should be able to get, you should love you a thick sister, even when you're young, and that's just too big for her. I can understand when you get older, men and women will gain weight as we get older, but they want to sit up and tell you that while you're young, you need to be fit, but you should be impressed by her thickness, which ain't got nothing to do with exercise and everything to do with eating fried chicken. And then you, while you're childless, you need to be impressed by the fact that she got other men's kids. That's the kind of penile policing in which they engage. We need to engage in it, but we need to engage in the opposite direction. If you are a childless man, we come along and we say, if you are childless, you don't need to be getting with a single mother. Some brothers that are red pill wear say, if you got kids, you don't need to get with a single mother. The reason being, she's not going to let you put your responsibility for your kids on her, but she's going to insist on putting the responsibility for her kids on you. And if that is the case, and you know it's the case, especially where you live, then you listen to those brothers. Well, like I said, we've made things too easy. And these women have learned that they don't really need to respect anybody. Although they want to, they don't need to respect anybody to get what they want. That's one of the first things, the first things that these women have learned. They can get what they want from us as men without showing a lick of respect for us as men. I mean, they don't want a man they don't have to respect, but if they get tired of respecting a man, they just go on to another guy. And then when they get tired of him because they ain't got to respect him, they go on to another man that they do have to respect, but they're going to get tired of him early on. So it's messing things up for them. And so that's why I say that we have to finally just agree that we're going to tell them, yes, it's okay when we do certain things you don't agree with, because here's the thing. When it comes down to us, we're not going to use our peen, and we're not using our penis or our pennies. We're not using our dollars or our dingalings to break up families and to mess up couple formation. They are only using their punanis to breed the worst men's kids. And then they're withholding it from the market so as to, in a sense, try to sexually whitemail responsible men into raising no good niggas' kids. That's the only thing they're using this stuff for. They're only using their money, really, to take care of the irresponsible, no good ninjas, whose kids they're willing to have. And even then, they're not really willing to work for that kind of money, but if they have to, they might still spend it. But what they're really looking to do is to get that money from responsible men, and they're making sure that they present two different faces to these men, and then they even try to shame men for talking about them and discussing them, so that the men they're screwing don't ever talk about the games that are being played or the games that are not being played on them. And the men who are being played for money and resources, especially to raise some other men's kids, are not supposed to talk to men who aren't going through this, so that they find out what the hell it is. So you look at cooking with Kaya right now. Let me cook for a bit. These women feel okay. Shouts out to Passport OG for covering this. They feel perfectly fine jumping on these men. These women feel perfectly fine putting hands on these men on camera, whether to skid or not. because the guys learn how to cook something from Kaya. Hold on a second. Can you put hands on them? They're mad because Kaya likes to cook. That's what bothers them. She's raising the bar, they upset. But when men turn around and start raising the bar by simping, the simping bar that's artificial, for which women don't respect you anyway, and we red pillar wear men get upset with them, they want to turn around and tell us, no, see, you just mad because he raising the standard. No, bitch, we're mad because he lying to your ass. Introduce a double standard. We have a right to be pissed off when it comes to these men lying to these broads. These women don't have a right to be pissed off at women that are telling them the damn truth and teaching them what's actually helpful. We're not the same. These women are willing to use their pennies and their privates only to practice dysgenics. Only. That's it. And they are intentionally trying to keep a level of quality off of the market. A very low level of quality, I might add, off of the market. So that men don't know any better. That's why I look at men and I say, you don't know. Should we be as easy? Hell no, we should not be. But I also understand there's a level of deception in which they're all engaged so that many men will not know. Because when you look at these guys and these women are putting hands on them, why are they going through this? Because the alternatives that are better than this have intentionally been kept off the damn market by these boom shikas and bonquishas and German shepherds and hyena monkey bitches. They're doing it intentionally. You're not going to find better than that because they're all intentionally in on the game to make sure that's not on the market. The women that are not like that, I don't have to tell you. You already know. The women that are not like that are going to be scared into silence and ducking. Excuse me. We all know this. They're going to be frightened into not bringing themselves out into the public and showing themselves. Everybody knows what the hell is going to happen to them. There's no secret. Everyone knows what's coming. You take a woman that's going to treat men better than this, that's willing to exceed that maximum level of quality that the hyenocracy allows, and they find out about it, they might give her a pass if she's old or just unattractive, or if the word gets out, she got stanky breath, something, but you let her be young and attractive and clean, and everybody knows it, and she's fertile, then they are going to come for her. That is absolutely what is going to happen, and everybody knows that. That's why they want to fight Kaya. That's the end of it. That's the beginning and the end of it. It's who they are. It's how they are. And they're going to stay that way for a long time to come. Because what they've seen is that they can do this dumb stuff. They can get on camera, ain't got ne'er a titty and a wig on, and sit up there and just be all kinds of childish and violent and inappropriate with their boyfriends because he's looking at cooking with Kaya. They're intimidated because she can cook. And they feel perfectly comfortable doing this. Oh, it's cute and funny when they do it. Because they've all flooded the market with the BS, and they've all agreed to keep off of the market better and more mature options, especially if they come attached to women that look better and don't wear a wig and are in better shape and have a better chest. Sorry to say. Here's a double standard. What we as men naturally like is fine, and it is reasonable, and it is normal, and it is worth pursuing. Elsewhere, not in the West. It needs to come to you in the West, because otherwise, how do you know she's interested? What they want, what they fantasize about is irresponsible, and it is childish for them to do so. And while they can do it, it is not your job to actually respect it. We may respect the sanctity of their choice, But it is not our job to respect them as if they are mature, developed individuals, when what they really lust after is a no good knucklehead, knuckle dragging ninja who seems strong of body but weak of mind. And what they really demand is somebody who can protect them in a dangerous environment, but doesn't have the foresight to prepare for them a safe environment, free from the dangers in the first mother cuss word place. No, I don't want a man that can put me in the suburbs. I mean, that's nice and all, but that ain't really what I want. I want a man that can protect me in the hood. Let him put me in the suburbs. That's what they're looking for. Now, in order for sisters to insist on this, it's almost like what they're saying is that at some point you got to be in the hood. Now, why? Is it because as an ally to white supremacy, you know that that's the end goal that they have for us? Or is it because you believe that at some point you got to go back to the hood to prove something? Which one is it? Or is it both? Either way, you're the traitor to that man if that's what it is. Whichever one of those two it is, it shows you're the traitor to that man. Because if you know about some plan that his enemies have to put him back in the hood, you need to tell him. And if you just feel that you need to go back into the dangerous environment of the hood to prove something, and that's where he needs to protect you, where it's a danger to him and you, then you're betraying him. That's what the hell that is. You're saying, I don't want a man that can build a home for me in the jungle. I want a man that can turn the jungle, force the jungle to be my home. What? That's what that's like. And I'm going to tell you guys that that's why it's okay for you to be, to a certain extent, some ways similar to a dog, in the ways that they really do imagine that to be true. In the ways we imagine that to be true, that's okay, that's fine. When they compare to cats, that's not okay. Because that don't work. I'm also going to point out that you remember me telling you how Southern Nigerian women have to be watched. Don't pursue them. A few days ago, a YouTuber named Mr. Sly, that's his name, not Super Sly, not him, but another man, Nigerian. I don't know if he's in the US or Nigeria, but his name is Mr. Sly. Did an upload on his podcast, his YouTube channel, about something else. I mean, it was actually about the same thing. Why did I say something else? I was thinking about two things at one time. Sorry, he did his upload about this. He said that Nigerian men who are abroad and outside of Nigeria are beginning to avoid Nigerian women. Cuss word. Stop and think about what I said before. I'm not telling you this to say, see, I told you so. See, Jet Black was right. That's not why. I'm telling you this so that you do understand, though, that we can see this sort of thing. We will be able to see these things and not be surprised. Because you see, one of the reasons why Nigerians and Jamaicans and African Americans tend to beef is because of how similar we are. That's one of the reasons. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why women are so prone to acting a goddamn fool. You look at where it is that paternity fraud is at some of its worst: Nigeria, Jamaica, and Black America. And which black folks tend to go through the most beef with each other? Nigerians, Jamaicans, and Black Americans. The three of us will fight anybody over anything. But the three of us will also love anybody that shows us some love. What does that tell you? But the other thing, too, is you look at our women, and our women can be some of the nastiest in terms of their attitude. the most sarcastic and mean and derisive. You know who else can be? Sudanese women. I didn't know about that until recently because I've never really tried to be their friends or their enemies. Never tried any of that. I know the men are gold. They cool, man. They great. As far as buddies go. I mean, don't worry. I'm not trying to marry or date none of them, obviously. But, you know, as far as buddies go, they're great. They're known for being men and being honest. They're known for that. But I wasn't sure what was going on with the women. But then somebody told me, a man who used to be married to a Sudanese woman told me, yeah, they can be hell on wheels. I mean, they're generally honest, but they're just tough. They got these sharp tongues. I knew something was wrong when one of my students told me that one of the proverbs they have in Sudan is that there are no more real men because they all died in some battle in the 1800s. What? How are they still saying this in the 2000s? A century has passed in between that battle and the time that the student taught this to me. A century. And they're still saying this? So what I'm telling you guys is that we are increasingly going towards and quickly going towards a day in which more and more nationalities of black women are going to be written off the list. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not going to sit up here and hide that. I didn't hide the truth from my students, and I'm not going to hide it from you. I'm not going to sit up here and castigate any nationalities of black women about which I don't know. I don't know how Cameroonian women are on average. I don't know how Chadian women are on average. I really don't. I don't know what to tell you about them. I don't speak on them. I don't know how Mozambican women are on average. I don't know about Malawian women. I only know about Cape Verdean women because some Cape Verdeans have told me that in the cities it's a lost cause. I only know about South African women because of what they've said and what multiple South Africans have come forward to tell me about it. And what South African women said about themselves. So I know they're lost, but how do I find out? They showed it. They confessed. Some of the confessions I have in my confessions list on Buy Me a Coffee come from South African women. Hell, just look at some of them. How did you find out that you were a HO or 304? That's a South African thread. And these women set up and told all kinds of mean, nasty stuff they did. It's almost like they're waiting on somebody to look at them and say, well, this is why you did it. That's what it's like. See, Minnie F. Baby's confession and her views and her outlook actually are mirrored by many black women coming from certain parts of the continent. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to keep up with whatever parts of the continent are proven either by the men or by the women themselves to mirror the nasty, filthy, stank, funky attitudes of African American and other Anglophone women out of the Americas of African origin. That's what I'm trying to look at. That's what I'm trying to tell you about. That's what I'm trying to keep you abreast of. I don't have to tell you. You don't have to convince me about Becky and the need to leave Becky alone. I don't trust her. I never did. I've been around them. From the time I was in kindergarten, I've been around them, been to schools with them, and I've gotten an idea as to how they are from a young age. You don't have to convince me about the Arab woman. They're different from each other, but they usually got one problem or another. You ain't got to convince me about the woman from India or Pakistan. By the same token, I happen to know that the women coming out of Bangladesh are not problematic as a whole, but I have heard that the ones coming out of specifically Dhaka have been exposed to soap operas, both in their language and in English, and some of them have the soap opera view of the world. But this is coming out the city, the capital city. This is what I've been hearing about. So I wanted to point that out to y'all. I wanted y'all to keep that in mind and understand that when you sit back and you give yourself time to learn about different parts of the world, you see where you want to go and where you don't really want to go. Don't even ask me about Afghan women. Don't do it. You could find an individual, sure, you could, but as a category, no. I know how the people are. An Afghan told me about it. I knew some of this before. He just confirmed it to me because he's brutally honest like that. Kurdish women? Nope. I've had Kurds tell me that they can't stand Kurds. I've had Kurds tell me that their people are crap. I don't know Kurds like that, but the ones I've had, the ones I've met, two, I believe. I'm sorry. No, one was Kurdish. And he didn't like Kurds. He said the only people he discriminated against were the Kurds. He didn't have any grudge with any other group of people except his own, and it was based on cultural practices, not self-hatred by him, but cultural practices. He said, don't even jibe with the religion they claim, which is Islam. And then another one was an Afghan who knew Kurds from California. And he said that the Kurds he knew confessed to the same thing. So that was what made me say, nah, you might want to leave them be. Not because I hate them. What did they say about themselves? But unfortunately, as I tell you these things about some of these other groups, that does not mean I'm sitting up saying to you that you need to limit yourself within our race. No, and that's another double standard. A black woman gets with a man from one of these groups, she hates herself. Because why those groups? They don't look at us as equals. You get with a woman from one of them groups, you just didn't know that that's how they were. There's another double standard we need. I'm not telling you that you should get with these groups I've mentioned that you should not. I just told you you don't want to. But if you did, I'm still going to introduce a double standard. Yeah, he didn't know that they're like that. He going to find out. And even then, he has the opportunity to say to her, listen, we're going to live elsewhere away from your people. Surrounded by my people away from yours. You good with that? He can offer her that. You can't offer that man that. You don't get to say to that man, listen, we're going to live in Gambia, Senegal, somewhere like that away from your people. That man would be like, what the hell am I supposed to do to earn a living? Why should they pay me anything really to do my job? Why should they even trust me? They don't know me yet. And that's the difference. And here's another double standard. When Edwin Allen Anderson starts talking, Hurricane Edwin Allen Anderson starts talking about how the environments are hopeless to reform once they criminalize violence against women. And they don't criminalize it against men. And I mean, not just in theory, but in practice. Support him. Back him up on that. It is true. When the women turn around and they say, well, you know, you guys are bigger and y'all are stronger and that is an issue, tell them to fuck the shuck up, because the fact remains that there's no place where men get extra dignity from other men for just hitting women just to do it. There's no place where a man can just hit a woman and another man's going to walk up and high five him. Yeah, man, that's right. That's not going to happen. I was on Hajj. And this is a few days after the Ihram rituals. But this man, he straight popped his woman on the mouth. Now, he didn't do it hard. He wasn't trying to hurt her, but I saw him do it. I don't know what she said. I didn't understand her. I believe they were from India. He just lifted his hand up and gently but quickly popped her on the cheek. And I looked in shock thinking, okay, as soon as my wife is done with her prayer, I'm going to usher her away from this dude because I don't know. I don't even know if this woman said anything that warranted that. She was talking calmly and he did this. I also know he didn't really want to hurt her because he didn't. But I knew not to be around. And while I was watching him and he walked up past me, right then my wife came into my field of view between me and him and said, "What happened?" And I said, "Sweetheart, get behind me." And she didn't move. "Did you hear what I said, sweetie? Get behind me." Before she would move her foot, she was like, "What happened?" So I just went ahead and stepped between her. He was still walking by. I went ahead and just stepped in between the two because she was not a fast listener at that time. That's the only thing I had to get on her ass about. And I told her, "Look, I don't know what the hell happened." They were talking. He reached up. He popped her. I don't know if that man was, I don't know what she said. I don't know, okay? But when I told you to get behind me, you didn't move. Now, I don't know what that man's going to do. If he's just in a mood to hit somebody and you get behind me, he'd hit me, not you. But you sitting there with that man right behind you. "Oh, I didn't know he was behind me." That don't goddamn matter. I told you to get behind me. If you did it, it wouldn't have, if you had done it, then you probably would have seen that he was right behind you. Now, he didn't do anything. But what happens if it's somebody else and he's just in a hitting mood? It ain't about what she said or did or nothing. Then what? Learn to do what I tell you, because I never tell you anything just to be bossy. That's one of the rare times I've had to really chide her like that. The worst she's not a disobedient and defiant woman. The worst she's ever done is be absent-minded. Just stuff like that, that's all. It's not malicious, but what I'm getting at is that, see, that's a double standard that's needed because I'm talking about Edwin Allen Anderson's double standard. That's needed. But the thing is, when that man did that, you know what? Nobody gave him a high five. Nobody congratulated him. Nothing like that. We were nervous. I don't need to tell you what the hell happens when women hit men in the West. Other women high five her. "Yes, girl, go ahead." They're happy to see that. Western women enjoy seeing women hit men. They love it. They already have a double standard about that. And the truth be told, you got men to know that women cannot hit us and hurt us, at least not that easily. We don't walk around hitting them. Once a woman knows that a man who she's going to be around at work or whatever is not going to hit women, she's going to hit him. I've seen where women think that a dude doesn't hit women, so she'll hit him. Now maybe she stays distracted, she forgets the idea and it never comes back to it. But you know, when a woman finds out that a man don't hit women, it's over. They're gonna hit him. Unless they remain distracted or busy or something like that, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And that's the difference. I learned that in 3rd grade from a white chick. Mandy. I remember her. She just started hitting dudes. Someone that told, we were in 3rd grade, someone told her boys can't hit girls. She just started hitting boys. She'd start arguments and things like that. But just disagreeing, she just started hitting boys. Because someone told her we couldn't hit back. She wasn't hitting girls. She knew they could hit back and knock her the uck out. She wasn't doing that. wasn't thinking about that, wasn't interested in that. Just boys, because they couldn't hit her back. So in reality, even when it comes down to these discussions, we need to have some double standards about what's okay to discuss and what's not. Yeah, it's all right for men to discuss corporal. I'm not really for hitting ladies in the face or in the head. I'm not for women. I'm really not for men hitting women. But I think that men should promote the legality of popping grown women on the backside if she's grown, but you could be held responsible for what she does. At least saying something like that out in public. Oh no, don't tell women you don't hit women no matter what. Don't tell them that. They'll hit you. At least tell them you take your belt off and go upside that ass. Or tell them you got a taser, a stun gun, and you'll tase them just like you would a dude. At least tell them that. In self-defense, I mean, because you can't, especially if you're the non-select looking kind of guy. And most men are. Especially then, what they're going to do. Okay, he's an inferior male. I'm going to hit him one day. Next time I'm emotionally disturbed, I can get away with it, so I'll do it. And I'll be able to find a reason to justify it. I mean, in the West, where you live, they love really to find ways to get your ass in trouble physically. So, yeah, we're going to need to bring in some more double standards. And this is just a short list of the ones I'm thinking of right now. Yeah, if a woman punani polices other women, then what she's doing is immature and childish. If you ding-a-ling police or penile police another man, you putting him up on game. Why? Real simple. The women need to be exposed to that. They need to come across a united front of men in which we don't just give away ding-a-ling or dollars for free. It's a necessary double standard. That's why I'm promoting it. If you see your partner and he's about to sell himself short, getting with the wrong chick, you pull him off to the side and say, hey man, look, you can do better than that. If a woman does that to another woman, that's just childish and she's not respecting her friend's choice. I'm dead serious. That's a double standard we need to introduce. Yes, I have a right to tell one of my partners or to tell my brother, to tell my male cousins why they don't need to get with a particular woman. She doesn't have a right, and her friend doesn't have a right to tell her why she shouldn't get with that dude. The reason being, if I tell my partner or my cousin or my brother this, I'm doing it for his own good, maybe even for hers. I'm not doing it just to be a hater, but if she tells her girl why that guy doesn't qualify, she's being childish. That's what that's about. And if the girl or the lady listens to her friend and then changes her mind, she's also being childish. She's not making her own choice as an adult. But if I tell my partner and he says, you know what, I see it, I'm going to forgo that and wait for the next opportunity. He took good advice as a grown man and made the right decision. Introduce that double standard too, because we're not sitting up here trying to get men to not be able to form couples and form families and this sort of thing. We're not telling men to just break the families up because they feel like it. These ladies out here telling each other to break the families up just because they feel like it. Why? Because they don't want to see men happy. It ain't really. Sometimes you think, oh, they don't want to see their girls happy. No. Sometimes they don't mind seeing their girls happy. Some of them just hate you and me so much they don't ever want to see us happy. And you and I sit up here making the mistake of thinking that she's really just being a bad friend to her friend. No, it may not be that. Sometimes it is, but other times it's not. It's nothing to do with that. It's just she does not want her friend to continue to make you happy. So she wants her friend to leave. You know, women have an easy time replacing dudes. Not every dude and not for every purpose, but they'll find somebody. They don't have to just stay completely by themselves for a length of time. It's not like that for them. That happens when they get older, not when they're younger. You know, Tia Mowry's friends that would have told her, just go ahead and graduate from the marriage and get the divorce. I'm going to tell you now, some of Tia Mowry's friends probably wanted her to be single and miserable like them, but there are others that just wanted Corey to be miserable. Don't forget about that. And I keep telling you about this malice, and we underestimate it. There are women that just wanted Corey to cry himself to sleep at night, and he did. There are women that just wanted me to go through whatever heartbreak when some ladies left. Fortunately, I was too pessimistic to be caught off guard. I expected it. I don't recommend pessimism, but boy, it is accurate. It really spares you from a lot. But that was one thing I did understand coming up. I understood this coming up. I understood this early in life. That something out there just wants you at times to be unhappy. I just didn't necessarily always know who it was or what it was. But then now I can identify that there are women that are friends with the women that you love. And that some of these women that are friends with the women you love may really, really feel a genuine affection and friendship for your wife. Hopefully your wife. They just don't like you because you're a guy or because you're not that dude. And they're going to try to shame your wife so that she will get up and leave you because they just want to see you miserable and by yourself. It's the West. There are women who look at regular normal men and believe that you deserve to never be with anyone unless it's a bad deal for you, and their friend is not a bad deal for you, so she needs to get up and bounce. Keep that in mind too. That's another reason why it is. You don't tell your partners that. You don't sit up and say, well, I don't want to see you happy because you're an inferior male. You don't do that. That's not how you are. You don't use your influence on your partners to just break up a happy home, or you don't even do it just to make sure that chick don't get to be happy. No matter what women have done to you, you're not doing it. In order for you to look at her and say, she really don't deserve you, you got to see that it is a loss to your friend. A bad deal for him. You wouldn't try to get your friend to drop somebody because he's a good deal to her. You would only do it if she's a bad deal to him. We are not the same. Bring these double standards in and don't be embarrassed or ashamed about it. Because chances are you're not being unfair anyway. If you were, I would have said something about it already. I hope that what I said is a benefit. And thank you all for listening. Thanks to everybody that hit the Cash App. I appreciate you all flying with us here on Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Double standards and gender justice forever.